Okay, is anyone out there? Hi, I think I'm on. Am I on? Okay. Okay, thanks. Bye. Okay, I think I am live, but I'm still just kind of figuring this out, everyone, so just bear with me. Okay, um, and I'm just waiting to see if anyone is there. If you want to put something in the comments, just so I know someone's excellent. Okay, hi, Michaela. Okay, and yeah. Okay, well, I guess I will get started since I'm already running late on this. Um, my name is Gretchen Gruender, and I'm a dietitian at Starkel Nutrition. And just let me see if anyone else is there. Um, and Starkel Nutrition is a functional medicine nutrition clinic in the University District of Seattle. Although right now we are currently all doing telehealth appointments, so we're all online. And that has been really a great transition, I think, being able to continue to see people and provide care pretty seamlessly through these really difficult times. We have 9 practitioners at Starkel, and we each specialize in a little bit different area of nutrition. We provide nutrition and mental health counseling for different areas, and for people who have chronic illnesses, as well as people who just want to maintain a healthy lifestyle. Hello, see other people are on there. And our areas, different areas, are autoimmune disease, gastrointestinal health, diabetes, high cholesterol, disordered eating, cancer nutrition, which is what I'm going to talk about today, brain health, and then just general wellness. We decided a couple months ago now to start these community hours, nutrition community hours, to support our community during these difficult times. And we wanted to facilitate a space where we can share our knowledge, but also continue to support people who may not be able to get nutrition counseling at this time. And like I mentioned, my name is Gretchen, and I've been with Starkel Nutrition for about 3 years now. And I am most of my well, first of all, I have a master's in nutrition from Bastyr. I think many of us have our masters from Bastyr, so we have that in common. And I have spent a majority of my time working in a large cancer center, and spending time working in many different diagnoses of cancer. So that's kind of my background. And through that, of course, I've worked with other wellness aspects, other things that go along with it. And I can get into that a little bit more as I get going. And let's see. So I'm going to talk today, like it says, about cancer nutrition. And I wanted to do something that kind of encompasses encompasses where people are at in different phases of being touched by cancer. So when we talk about cancer nutrition, we could be talking about many different things. We could be talking about a phase pre-cancer. So there are certainly people who are at higher risk of getting cancer, whether it's for genetic reasons or other things. And so they might be focusing on what is cancer prevention. There's also within this people who have had a cancer diagnosis and are currently in treatment. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that. That's often what we think about as cancer nutrition piece, is that in treatment part of it. And then there's everything after treatment. So the survivorship phase, although survivorship is really from diagnosis on. And so many people might not come to see a dietitian, nutritionist until after they've finished their treatment. Okay, but a lot of the questions that we get are really, really similar. And if you have questions, feel free to send them out there. I'm happy to answer that. That's part of what this is today. One of the questions I think that people have is, when is the best time to work with a nutritionist when they have cancer? And I'd like to tell them anytime that they're ready to talk about food and nutrition. There's a kind of a misconception that when you get a cancer diagnosis and you go into treatment, you're going to lose weight. And that's not always the case, but that certainly can be with certain diagnoses, and it can certainly be a reason to reach out and to work with a nutritionist to prevent that weight loss. And I encourage people to work with us before you've lost a lot of weight. That's kind of key there, although we will certainly work with people at any point. Another thing that people aren't always aware of is that with some diagnoses going into treatment, they may actually gain weight. And that can be really surprising and shocking for people. So whether, no matter where you're at, or someone who you really care about is at, we want to work with them to help kind of maintain their weight, whatever that might be. And then another question that we get is, what are the best foods to eat? And I usually say, like, all foods are the best foods to eat because we have really different palates, and we live in different regions, and there are so many things that you can just appreciate about where you live and about the flavors that you enjoy, even in cancer treatment. And that's a little bit of what I'm going into today, is how can we fit what your tastes are to what's good for you as well. Okay, so I'm doing something a little bit different than we've done in the past, and that is, oops, keep playing around with this here, and that is, I am talking in my kitchen, which seemed a little bit scary at first because I'm also here with my kids and dogs, and there's just a whole bunch of us and a lot of action going on. So I'm still not sure how this is going to turn out, but this is a benefit to being here at home, is that I can actually use food where when I'm normally meeting with people, we don't have food around us, and we can't use the food, we can't describe anything about it or show how easy sometimes it is to prepare some of the dishes we might be suggesting. So one of the things I'm going to do today is actually prepare something, a recipe that I have recommended for many people over the years. And let me explain a little bit about why I'm going to be doing this. Okay. So, like I said, I think, when it comes to what are the best foods for cancer, kind of anything is a go, as long as you're getting in a lot of plant foods and you're getting in unprocessed plant foods. So there's just this huge amount of research out there that shows the benefits of eating many of those, like I said, unprocessed plant foods. And when I say that, people often think vegetables and fruits, and they think about high fiber foods. And for some people who are going through treatment, you've been put on a fiber modification. So you may have been asked to follow a low fiber or a no fiber diet, and that recommendation can feel really overwhelming. And that's one of the things that I work with people is how can you eat well even if you have a really restrictive diet? And it is possible. Okay, we just have to make some modifications. But a plant-based diet is also your whole grains and your legumes, but it also includes your nuts and your seeds, and then your herbs and your spices. And it's the herbs and the spices that I want to kind of focus on a little bit more today. Since I've been staying at home, and my son just told me today we're at day 100. He's been keeping a journal off and on through this quarantine, and I hadn't been keeping count myself. I just know it's been going on for quite a while, but when he said we hit day 100, I was a little bit shocked. But I've got to spend a lot of time out and about in my garden, and then of course in my kitchen as well. And one thing I've been doing is trying to figure out more ways to use some of the herbs and spices that I have growing around my house. So that's part of this. The herbs and spices, sometimes we think of certain ones. And certain herbs and spices are talked about a little bit more than others. An example of that would be ginger. Ginger gets talked a lot about with cancer because ginger can help. For some people, it can be really helpful with the nausea that might be associated with treatment a bit. But it is also really helpful just for digestion, just on your gut. It's a really good one to use. And another one that gets talked about a lot with cancer is turmeric, and the active compound in turmeric, which is curcumin. And that has a lot of anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties to it. As does, I should have pointed this out, as does ginger, which has the active compound is the 6-gingerol. And it's shown to be an antioxidant, anti-inflammatory properties, anti-proliferative properties, and it can downregulate some of the anti-inflammatory cytokines. So this is also very, very powerful, as is turmeric. And turmeric is one of those, or the active compound in turmeric is one of those really, really well-studied compounds. It's been used actually in a lot of cancer research. I could go on and on about that for quite a while. Just gonna check that here, and but I'm not gonna go into turmeric too much, just because that's not something that grows around here. Another one doesn't grow around here, but it certainly gets a lot of attention is cinnamon. And the active compound is called cinnamaldehyde, I believe. And it is also really strong anti-inflammatory, spice, antimicrobial, antioxidant, anti-tumor. It's been shown in research to help lower cholesterol and blood sugar levels. So that's another one that's really easy, actually, I think, to get into your foods. And even if you're following, it's a great example of a compound that you can mix into foods, even if you're following a low fiber or a no fiber type of a diet. Cinnamon is something you can easily sprinkle into that, the foods. Another one that I like to bring up is quercetin. And that's also, I should say, all of these have been studied a lot for a lot of chronic illnesses because of that anti-inflammatory compound. Quercetin, though, is found in a lot of foods, including onions. So I wanted to point that out. But also things like capers and apples and even cocoa powder have quercetin, and quercetin is found in a lot of things. A lot of anti-cancer, anti-inflammatory benefits, antioxidant properties to it. A lot of research around quercetin, including like breast cancer and even ovarian cancer. Okay, and so a couple of the ones I want to talk about today are from my garden. Um, Thyme is one, and I love thyme because well, I should say any of my spices. That I just went out and picked a bunch of herbs, I should say, picked a bunch of fresh herbs outside, and these are incredibly hardy. I planted them, I don't know, 10 years ago maybe, out in my yard, and they just continue to come up whether or not I water them or take care of them. They all just keep coming up. Another one is the oregano. Oregano is fantastic. It has a lot of, not only does it make food taste really good, I use this all the time in foods, but it also has a lot of antimicrobial properties. Really good for gut health. Another great one for your gut is mint, and I picked a few sprigs of mint here. Again, another one that's just incredibly hardy. It's great right now, and I'm going to use this one in a few minutes. And then another one here is rosemary. And rosemary, if any of you have that around your house, you know that it just kind of takes over, and you have more, like within a couple of years, you have more rosemary than you'll ever know what to do with. So I'm kind of always in pursuit of figuring out what to do with my fresh rosemary, other than just chop it and probably throw some of it out. I hate to say that, but still learning. And this has been one of my projects in quarantine, is figuring out how to use all of this rosemary that I have around here. Rosemary, the active compound in it is alpha pinene, I think that's how you say it, and it is also found in things like eucalyptus. This is a very aromatic plant, and it also possesses antimicrobial properties and been shown to have anti-metastatic properties. And it helps to induce apoptosis, which is normal cell death. So it's really good for our cells on many levels. It has a lot of anti-inflammatory properties as well. Okay, so the in treatment, I'm often working with people on things like blood sugar control. And that's because there are quite a few treatments out there and medications that will spike blood sugar levels. And then on top of that, when you're in treatment and you're not feeling good, sometimes what you just want is something that's kind of salty and convenient and easy to get. And so people will often go for like the standard saltine cracker. That's really comforting. It's really nice. And I have for years been trying to come up with some alternatives to that saltine cracker, or sort of that easy but yet very refined food that people will eat. And one of those that I've been handing out as a recipe for years now is an almond sesame cracker. And I have all the stuff. I'm going to actually put that together right here. And I've been telling people, like I said, for years, it's super easy to make. And it's a really convenient food. And it's not going to spike your blood sugars because it's made out of almonds and sesame seeds. It has an egg in it, or though you can use an egg substitute. And then I'm going to add a little extra stuff in there as well that I'm going to talk about. And so this is something that I encourage people to have around, like I said, to snack on. When you're having when you're not feeling good, or you may have some nausea, one of the best things that you can do is to continue to eat something and keep a little bit of food in your stomach. Now, don't let during the day, don't let your stomach get empty, but keep some food in there. That really helps to keep that nausea down. So I get to show you today, like I said, how easy this is to make. And I'm going to give a go at trying to adjust my camera here. So bear with me for a minute. Okay, so let's see. So these almond sesame crackers, I've pre-measured out some of the ingredients, but I'm going to kind of walk through it. So I use for this recipe an almond meal, and this is about 1.5 cups, which is what the recipe calls for, 1.5 cups of the almond meal. And I'm just going to pre-measured it, so I'm just going to dump it in there. And then it calls for 1/4 cup of sesame seeds, and I am using these raw sesame seeds. And sometimes I'll use the black sesame seeds just because they look really pretty in the crackers. However, we are in a quarantine period, and I was not able to get the black sesame seeds, so we're just going to kind of keep it a monotone here of color. Like I said, that's about 1/4 cup in there. Another variation you can do, though, and I want to mention, was you can use, there's other things you can use instead of the sesame seeds. Like you could use flax seeds, or you could use chia seeds. There's different variations that you can use, and I encourage you, especially at a period where we're not going to be running out to the store every day. It would be, we're not running out of store every day, feel free to make some substitutions. And I'm checking. Okay, I just read Siona's comments, so Siona, I'm gonna try to address that in a minute here. This is about 1 tablespoon of olive oil. I think I may actually have a little bit more. So I'm gonna pour that in there. And then I'm gonna put an egg in here. And I have done this before with egg substitutes. It really works as a binding agent, so you can do that. That does work. And then I use about 1/2 teaspoon of salt. The recipe originally called for a full teaspoon. I thought that was too much, but you can certainly play around with this and kind of find the amount that works for you. I just thought that the 1/2 teaspoon worked pretty well. And then you literally just mix this. So I'm going to do that. Hi, Siona. Siona is asking about taste changes, and okay. She's asking a really specific question about taste changes. Oh my gosh, I'm not keeping up with all of this. Hi. And that is something I'm going to go into in just a minute here, Siona. Taste changes when everything is really sweet. When everything tastes really sweet. That's a great question. That's something that does happen a lot. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm getting so many questions. Okay, I'm going to finish doing this really quickly. And I'm going to go back here. So what I'm going to add to this right now is the rosemary. So this is one way that I have found to add a different flavor to these crackers. This may or may not work if you're in cancer treatment. And whether or not you like rosemary. So I took about this much of it, and I just pulled it off. And I'm going to start cutting it. And I'm just going to kind of coarsely cut it right now. Okay, and then I'm going to add this to the mixture, and then just blend it in, mix it in. Okay. And then in order to roll it out, and I'm going to reuse some parchment paper here, I roll it out between parchment paper so it doesn't stick when I'm rolling it. Okay, so okay. So I'll do this kind of quickly to give you a general idea. This should roll out and take about the space of a cookie sheet. So I'm going to roll this out. I'm going to put it on the cookie sheet. And I would normally spend a few more minutes rolling it so that it's kind of taking up the whole piece of paper here. So it's more like a rectangle in shape. And then grab this. I use a cookie cutter. And before I put it on the pan and bake it, and like I said, normally I'm probably going to spend some time making it fit in this shape. And then I'm going to score it. I'm just going to cut it ahead of time into the shapes that I want. Okay, so you're going to have, you know, you want more of like a square like this. Okay, I'm going to put this aside. And then you bake it for about 15 minutes in the oven at 350 degrees. I think every oven is a little bit different. So, you know, at the 10-minute mark, just start watching it. And then when it comes out, it's going to be in these sheets that are already pre-scored, and so you just, oh, that one didn't work very well. So you just pull those apart, and you have a cracker, and they are really good. I actually love the rosemary in this, but find a spice or not a spice that you enjoy using with it. There's also a lot of benefits, I should point out, benefits of the almonds and the sesame seeds, which have lignans. We often hear a lot about the lignans that are in flaxseed, but sesame seeds have them as well. Okay, since I just discovered after I started doing all of this, all of the questions over on the side, I'm a little bit short here, or a little slow here. I'm going to address some of these. Siona was asking about taste changes, and that's one of the reasons, actually, I thank you for bringing this up. One of the reasons I started talking about, I want to talk a little bit about spices, is spices are a great way when you're having taste changes in treatment to enhance flavors of things. When things are really way too sweet, one of the things I'll do is have people do is take a lemon and squeeze some lemon juice on it, and just that kind of brings down the sweetness of something. And I guess it really depends upon what it is that's too sweet. But a lemon is kind of amazing. It really can be used in a lot of different ways. It also helps with salty things that might seem too salty, but it's really great. Lemon or even lime, just putting that on there can be helpful. Okay. I'm trying to find a few of the ones in here. Okay. Okay, before I try to answer another question, I'm still reading through all this. And thank you for letting me know that you're out there, guys. I really appreciate it. This is a whole new thing. With taste changes, one of the things that often doesn't taste good is just plain water. And water is something that's incredibly important for people in treatment, or as well as people out of treatment. And if you're having taste changes, or if you're just someone who doesn't like water, I have a pitcher of water here. I encourage everyone to just make some modifications that are also pretty healthy. One of them is mint. Mint is a great one to just drop in water and put in there. I'm just gonna throw this in here. I will often put, and this is just sort of like my basic, is add some mint in there. Maybe cut up a lemon and put some lemon in there. If you have some fresh fruits, some like strawberries or peaches, you can also cut those up and put those in there. Preferably let your water just steep for a while with these flavors. Rosemary is another one you can put in there and just let it sit in the water for a while. And basil. I love the combination, especially of like some sparkling water with some fresh basil in it. Yeah, so this is a great way to change the flavor. The longer it sits, some of these foods sit in the water, the more that flavor is going to change. And one of the tastes that people really dislike is just sort of a metallic taste. Maybe they taste kind of the metals that are in the water, and having these other flavors, these herbs, or even some fruit in there, really helps to change that taste of it. So give that a try if you're having some taste difficulties. Okay, let me try to answer some of these other questions here. Julie, I don't know if it's possible to eat too much rosemary. I really don't. It's a great question. I'm gonna have to look into it and tell you later. I don't think I've ever eaten too much rosemary myself, just because I use it in kind of small quantities when I'm eating. But because you're asking, I'm guessing there is something out there I need to learn about rosemary, though. Okay, Siona has a great question talking about weight gain, if they're muscle wasting. Oh my goodness, this is a really specific one, Siona. Okay, I'm gonna just, Siona's asking about muscle wasting with a very specific type of cancer, also having some issues with appetite, taste changes, and it looks like blood sugar issues too. That's not uncommon. There is, people can start having a lot of blood sugar issues or insulin resistance in treatment because of, for example, the steroids that they may be on. So with weight gain or with weight loss and trying to help increase weight for people, one of the things I usually start with is the taste piece. So usually there's something, if we kind of go back and talk about what are the foods that are appealing. Instead of thinking about the foods that aren't appealing to someone, start with the foods that are really appealing. And you know, it could be sort of a favorite food. And it might be something like, you know, that they're not supposed to be eating right now, but I think finding what it is about the food that that they enjoy, and sometimes you can find sort of a healthier alternative to that. With weight gain, it's a difficult thing. I approach it in let's first try to stop weight loss. I should say with yeah, people who have that unintentional weight loss. And so there are a lot of great foods out there that are whole foods, whole plant foods that are really high calorie and can be put into play in this situation. So avocado is one that I will start using, having people use. I have my avocado here. Avocado just has a ton of calories, so this is a great place to start. And it can be used not just in like a plain avocado, but you can mix it into, for example, a smoothie. You can make a pudding base with the avocado. There's many ways to you know, even guacamole. There's many ways to fit this in with other things that you're eating. And just a quarter of an avocado, because if someone's lost a lot of weight, they're probably not eating very much at one time. So just using a little bit of this can go a long way. Another one that I will start introducing is like the canned coconut milks, an organic canned coconut milk. Tons of calories in that. And that again can be used in many different dishes, including, you know, that stand by the smoothie, the puddings, but it can also be used in sauces. It can be used, you know, use it if you're having, you know, a drink, maybe like if you're having a golden milk, use some canned coconut milk as the milk base for that. So you're getting a lot of calories in that beverage as well. And, you know, this is where you can start integrating some of these spices also, because the spices are going to enhance the flavors of these foods and make them more palatable for people, but they also have those anti-inflammatory properties. And so, you know, there's some good things to all of that as well. And if anyone's interested, I could share some of my favorite recipes through Starkel with that. Let's see. I'm reading another question right now. Oh gosh. So someone has a question about difficulty swallowing. And you mentioned thrush in here. So I'm guessing that they have been treated, I'm guessing, for the thrush. But swallow any foods or liquids. But if you're having, I'm going to try to address the swallowing question in a really basic way, and then you can let me know if there's something else I can add to this. One thing that can be helpful with when you're having difficulties with your mouth and with swallowing, can be using, first of all, for your mouth, just using a mild saline rinse with some salt and some baking soda. Using that like 4 to 6 times a day really helps to clean out your mouth. So that can be helpful. The other thing that can do is I found that when people are going through some really significant taste changes, rinsing your mouth with that mild saline is also really helpful for cleaning out your palate and tasting foods a little bit better. You know, I have some swallowing ideas. I'm actually not going to go into that specifically, but you can contact me outside of here, and I have some other ideas how to help. Because with swallowing, it's difficult. You kind of want to know what the I kind of want to know what the underlying cause of the swallowing issue is before I can really address that, if that makes sense. Let's see, recipes. Yeah, so Siona, dairy is a really controversial question in our cancer world. Absolutely. I do, and there's not a lot of like really definitive research out there, but it's certainly been looked at a lot, especially with like prostate cancer and breast cancer. I err on the side of caution, and I have most people really really, if they're going to use dairy, use a limited amount. Use, yeah, whole fat dairy. Use the real thing, as opposed to a low fat dairy or something like that. But yeah, definitely, I think moderation in the least until we know more about dairy. Yeah, I can't wait to kind of learn more about what's going on there. And when I say moderation, I usually tell people, like, for example, if you really love cheese, instead of using a lot of cheese on something, just use a little bit for a flavoring if you're going to do that. And then C, some people may have difficulty digesting dairy products. If, for example, if someone is in treatment, they may have problems with it. So explore that. Explore if dairy is something that's even working well for you in all of this. Okay. And I think I am going to, I'm going to wrap this up today, but I'm going to pass along some recipes, maybe some high calorie recipes for anyone who would like to share those with someone in treatment. I also have the almond sesame cracker recipes is available through Starkel Nutrition Recipe Database if you're one of our clients. So you will have that as an option. Although I did just kind of give you all the recipes right now, all of it. And yeah. One other thing I want to mention is for those of you who might be listening and you are you have someone a family or a friend who's going through treatment and you're looking for ideas of like maybe how you can help them out with cooking, with their nutrition, get a sense of what it is that they want to eat or what's appealing to them. Or what could be helpful. I tell people I'm working with all the time, please share the foods that sound good to you or that you're looking for with people who are asking to help. Yeah, and like I said, I'll pass some of these on to you. Please feel free to comment and share this video if you would like with anyone. And if you are interested in working with any of us one-on-one, you can go to our website, our Starkel Nutrition website, or you can send contact our email at admin@starkelnutrition.com or our main number 206-853-0534. With any comments, or if you just want to, if you're watching and you want to, there's a specific topic that you would love to hear, let us know and we can work around that. Okay, so thank you everyone. I hope you are enjoying this sunny day, and yeah, and I hope to see you later. Bye.